What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Fantasy Puck video. I'm your host, Mike. Today's video, week 22 streamers and my favorite goalie streamers. Very important week, as some of you are probably in playoffs right now. I still have a few weeks to go in some of my leagues. Some of my leagues I'm actually starting playoffs. So this video, hopefully it does you well to maximize your starts and overall help you win this week in fantasy. Before we get into this video, guys, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and if there's any time to get into the Discord, it's definitely right now, as this week is very full of games, as you will see further into this video, and you're going to have trouble figuring out who to start, who to sit, and hopefully in the Discord you can ask that and we'll give you some really good advice. Without further ado, let's jump into the week 22 streamers video. Starting this video off, as always, looking at the best schedules for this coming week. I think the most notable thing this week is that there are so many teams of 4+ games. And like I mentioned earlier, this is where you want to be going in the Discord and asking us about your starts and sits, because you're going to have to make some really tough cuts this week. Last week, same thing. We saw on Saturday a 15-game schedule. Of course, I sat Ehlers, who had 3 points and 4 shots. Anyways, guys, we want to be targeting the teams that play on the off nights, which are typically Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. I have the dates here: March 13th, 15th, 17th, and 19th. And the 4 teams we're going to want to be targeting for our streamers to maximize our starts this week: Colorado, Columbus, Buffalo, and Toronto. Not really a lot from the Columbus side, as you'll see, but in the next slide, I'll get into the worst schedules for this coming week. So very quickly, I don't want to stay on this slide for too long, but two teams with 2 games this week: Detroit and Florida. I saw some people in the Discord that are in their semifinals right now talking about dropping Barkov or dropping someone that's a very good player in Florida or Detroit. It's really hard to say. If you're desperate for wins this week and you need to maximize your starts, I get it. But Florida is a really good team, and it's hard to drop players from them to hopefully, propel you for a win this week, and then go into next week without those players, and maybe the other guy you're facing in the finals will own them. It's hard to say. I've never really been in that situation where I'm dropping a lot of my top end players to squeak out a win late in the season, but I totally get it. Just leave a comment below if you have to make any of those decisions, and I'll hopefully just give you some advice to help you out. A bunch of teams here with 3 busy nights. These are teams that are basically just going to be filling your roster every night. Don't want to get into them too much, but now let's jump into the favorite streamers for this coming week. I promise I didn't do this on purpose. I just like to organize it by total owned percentage. I find with Toronto, it's really hard to find streamers there, especially because their top 6 pretty much do all of the heavy lifting, and kind of the same thing here in Colorado, but they do have some open spots that I think are really good for streaming this week. So Arturi Lehkonen getting it started. If you watched my last video, I said Lehkonen was just a hold right now. Looks like he is getting some power play one time. Nichushkin's in now the lineup. It's kind of weird what's going on there, but I still like him. He's playing line 1 minutes, 70% owned, so he may not be available in those 12+ team leagues. But for those in the shallower leagues, I definitely think Arturi Lehkonen's worth a stream this week. Very good matchups: Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, and Detroit. Toronto's the more difficult one, but the other teams are all teams that give up a lot of chances, a lot of goals. So I like Lehkonen this week, left wing, right wing eligible, which is always good because you have some more lineup flexibility. Moving on, JT Compher, 35% owned, more likely available in those 12+ team leagues. I'm not going to go through their schedule this week, but I like him. He's playing second line, power play 1. I'm still getting good minutes. He doesn't really do a whole lot peripheral wise, but he will give you some of those opportunities on the power play, more scoring chances than someone like Lehkonen, who plays on the second power play unit, but still mixes in some top line. Really like Compher this week. Moving on, Sam Girard. If you're looking for a defenseman, a little bit higher ownership here. Girard's actually been playing much better minutes. Josh Manson's out, Eric Johnson's out. Makar is back in the lineup, but I still like Girard. He's playing top 4 minutes, about 22 plus per night, which you want to see from a defenseman that's not on the top power play unit, just to help you out with those peripherals. We've seen a lot of goal scoring from this Colorado team, especially McKinnon recently. So hopefully Girard can start to produce from the back end when those forwards are scoring goals. Lastly, Evan Rodriguez, really like his position eligibility here. Allows for a lot of lineup flexibility, but when you're playing in these off nights, typically your roster won't be full, so that may not matter as much, but I still like the flexibility here with triple eligibility, 10% owned over on Yahoo. So those deeper leagues, he could be available. Getting line 2 minutes, power play 2, still playing about 17-18 per night with some decent shot upside. Typically, if there's a lot of special teams in the game, like power plays and penalty kills, you'll see his minutes fluctuate, but I still like Rodriguez this week. 3 off-night games. Look at how well organized this all is, but I swear it's just based on percentages here. The second set of streamers I like this week, a little bit lower owned, so those deeper leagues, hopefully they're available. Victor Olofsson of the Buffalo Sabres, good matchups this week, especially with Washington, who's been struggling defensively, and Philly. But they do have Toronto and Boston, which are going to be tough games for them, but still 4 off nights this week, so you really want to be targeting them. Another team that's really top heavy with Tage Thompson, Jeff Skinner, Dahlin really carrying the scoring. It's hard to find streamers that I think are worthwhile for a pickup. Defensively, there's not really much to see there. So Olofsson here, he is getting third line minutes, but power play 1 right now with Alex Tuch hurt. So that's what I like from Olofsson. You have some power play 1 upside. You're guaranteed 4 extra games this week when picking him up. And similar to Jack Quinn, where he's playing second line minutes on the line with Cousins, who has been really, really good this season. Just 9% owned, left and right wing eligible. Power play 2 minutes, but he is playing about 16, 18 per night. Again, really depends on the special teams. Toronto Maple Leafs fans, I hope you like what you see from Jake McCabe so far. He's been a great defenseman. He's playing good minutes right now in Toronto, 20 plus per night. Very good hit upside, very good block numbers. His peripherals are all there. He's playing good minutes in Toronto, who have been very good offensively. And McCabe's playing first pair minutes with TJ Brody, so really like him. Good schedule for them this week as well. Colorado and Carolina, tough matchups. Buffalo, Ottawa, a little bit easier, so it kind of evens itself out. And speaking of his defense partner, TJ Brody, I think is a very good stream this week, especially if you're looking for some depth blocks. At just 1% owned in those deeper leagues, he should be available. Good first pair minutes. And the matchups this week I like quite a bit from Toronto here. These are my deeper league streamers, and now let's jump over to goalies. Rounding out this video with the goalie streamers this week, it was hard to pick and choose because there are so many 4-game schedules this week. But the first goalie I like here, Jonas Johansson at the second half of a back-to-back on Friday, March 17th at Ottawa. I think it's a good matchup. I think Colorado's been very good this season and not allowing a lot of goals, although they did give up back-to-back 7-goal games, but before that, and looking season-wide, they've been very good. So I like Johansson here. I think Colorado are going to be favorites in the game. Now, I don't know if they're going to call up Anunen, I think is how it's pronounced, Justice Anunen, who's the other backup goalie, their third string. Johansson, I don't really know what's going on there, but let's keep an eye on it. It'll definitely be talked about in the Discord at some point. So Johansson, Friday, March 17th, I really like that matchup. A guy that I think should be owned, now especially with Ronta out right now, called Chetkov. Hopefully I pronounced it right. Again, I'm just struggling with the pronunciations today, but call me out below if I'm mispronouncing it. But it looks like they have a Saturday game, March 18th at Philly at the second half of a back-to-back. Really good matchup there. Philly's been struggling quite a bit this season. The only worry is that it is Saturday, so it's going to be a very full game of scheduling. I do think Kochaikov's actually worth owning in general, and you might see him start over Freddie in other games that aren't back-to-backs, especially with Freddie, and he's very susceptible to injury, so they have to be a little bit careful, especially when they want to make a playoff run. So I like Kochakov. I think actually he should be owned full-time, but if you're looking to just stream him this week, Saturday seems like the best matchup and when he's most likely to start. Moving on, Brian Elliott, he seems to just never go away at 8% owned on a good Tampa team. They have a game Friday, which is an off night, March 18th versus Montreal. Again, second half of a back-to-back. We're more likely to see Vasilevsky in the more difficult matchup, and Elliott to start against the struggling Montreal Canadiens, who are hopefully trying to go for Connor Bedard. Lastly, I don't like the team too much and how bad he's been this season, but Colin Delia, again, on the second half of a back-to-back on Sunday at Anaheim, a team who has been very bad this season. I think I heard a stat in the last game I watched that they've only scored the first goal in 9 games this season, which is just a crazy stat to hear about, especially that we're 60 games into the season. But should be a heavily favored game for Vancouver, a team that just, again, never seems to go away. And I like Colin Delia here, just 1% owned, meaning he should be available in those deeper leagues. Thank you for watching the Week 22 schedule preview and my favorite streamers video. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.